Well, I think that teenagers will not focus on the most important things of their life, which is their studies, their future, their morals, their ethics. They are focused more on what is trending and how to copy people who are making videos that are trending, how to gain followers and likes and views and all that, which is why I'm not really interested. It just makes someone anxious, makes someone restless, disappointed, desperate, devastated when the person doesn't get the algorithm right. And I don't want to go through all that drama. So I just personally don't like to have a social media account so I can focus on what is truly important. And so when teenagers are focusing on social media and forget their studies, forget their future, then when the time comes when they have to embrace life face to face, they will be confused because it's not social media that is going to help them to achieve their goals. Most of the successful people in the world read books. And in our family, if you are reading books, if you're not reading books, you're reading books. And then what do you do when you're not reading books? I'm reading books. And what do you do in your free time? I'm reading books. So if you're not reading books, you're still reading books. So books indirectly, one way or the other, would bring success to your life because it gives you a creative mindset, gives you an imaginative mindset, makes you believe, which is true,
Yeah.
makes you believe that you can do anything because that is actually true. Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Max Planck, all these people have read great books and have had such a high creative mindset that they could go as far as to discover what most people in the world can't discover. I've heard that our we don't use our IQ to the highest. If we could use 100% of our IQ, our intellectual intelligence, then we can conquer anything
Yeah.
because most people in the world, an average human only uses 2%. Doesn't can't even use up to 10%. That's why sometimes people still argue that a dolphin is smarter than a human. Yes. Not in the sense that a human, because a human is a higher animal, higher distinction, has rational thinking, but a dolphin uses more of its IQ than a human being. That is why humans are still struggling to find out how dolphins can communicate underwater with clicks and whistles and all that. But if we could use, even if it's just 10% of our IQ, then
Even 5%.
even if it's 5% or 3%, then like think of great gurus, people who could levitate, people who could flute. Think of how the Wright brothers thought of an airplane, thought of how they could fly. So if you can just overcome that hurdle that says I can't do much or I'm just an average human, this is what my life depends on. I'm fixated on the outcome of this thing, and you focus more on what is my future about, what do I want? What do I want to achieve? What are my long term and short term goals? How do I want to succeed? Then you wouldn't have time for social media just like me. You will have only more time to read good books, not just reading any book, because not every book is intended for every person, but reading books that change your mindset in a way of giving you a successful and creative mindset and changing the way you think. Yes. And actually, it's actually a bit, I wouldn't say because each of these things you said, both at home and in school, aren't right for children. But I would say it's worse at school because children are exposed to what parents cannot restrict to their children.
Yeah.
They haven't age restrictions. And at home, they have age restrictions. So if the parents is watching
For
something,
some parents, they don't mind.
yeah, but for some parents who are mindful of what their children will watch, if they want to watch something on social media, they will tell their children to maybe leave what their space or to go and find something else to do. But at school, you have the freedom to watch whatever is available for you to watch. So you are exposed to almost everything the world is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very
Read books. Read books. For teenagers, I would say if you really want to succeed and you want to soar, read lots of books, especially non-fiction books and books that tell you how to change your mindset and create a success mindset. Create a mindset that makes you know that you are who you were created to be and you are successful. You are enough already in yourself. You don't need social media. You don't need social media. You don't need anything. All you need is just yourself. All you need is to realize who you are. And so, read great books. Read books of leaders, great leaders of long ago. That's if they wrote books, and books of modern leaders, books of successful people today. And also for parents, be careful of what your children see. There's an adage my mom used to say, it takes a whole village to raise a child. As a parent, it is your responsibility that your child grows up responsible to be the finest young man or woman the world has ever seen. And so you have to take your time to groom that child, even when it seems hard. Sometimes your child might not cooperate, sometimes your child might not listen, sometimes your child is just being rebellious, but that is what comes with raising children. As the time begins to fly, as we begin to as you begin to implement these habits, such as reading books, doing chores, you know, sitting, having time to sit by oneself, meditate, think about the person's life, think about the person's future, think about what the person wants to achieve, what the person's goal is, what the person's purpose of life is. As we begin to implement these habits, the child will get used to it that he doesn't feel the need to see social media. Because sometimes it's because teenagers don't have things that they are doing that are meaningful, and so they just have so much free time to look at social media. But if you implement these habits in your child and give no space for a free time where your child isn't doing something meaningful, then your child won't have any reason to go to social media, except the child wants to be rebellious, which I know all children that are trained properly under good parents will never be rebellious as time goes by. So,
Great. That's a good point, Rex, and I'm super proud of you. Just keep it up and know that, just like you pointed out, you don't need social media for you to be happy. You don't need social media for you to live a fulfilled life. All you need is you. All you need is to tap into this great power that resides inside of you and keep tapping into that power to know what the Creator, God, has brought you here to do and do your assignment. When it's time to go, pack up your bags and
there you go.
and you go. So you don't need social media for you to succeed. And parents, please, it's time for us to put our hands together and raise our children right. Create routine for them, create principles for them and habits for them that they can hold on to replace the social media that is drifting them away from their inner peace. And please, if you liked and enjoy this conversation, share this video with your family and friends. We want to continue to have this conversation. We want your children to be part of this conversation. We want you parents to be part of this conversation. We want to be able to talk about that. You see, Rex is not on social media, and I want to see other young men and women to rise and say, I'm not on any social media. My parents are managing. If you're interested, they are managing it for me. And then we're going to make other videos to create what are meaningful things young people like you, Rex, can do on social media. How can they use their life to transform society by being on social media? Because yes, we know that social media has positive impacts, but how do we tap into those positive impacts to transform society? So thank you so much for joining us. We will see you some other time.
Yep.